Teresa and Amy, you're both very welcome. Today's activity, today's focus in Lazarus Applied Protocol is electro-muscle stimulation. Electro-muscle stimulation, very simply, it's putting part of your body inside an electric circuit. In a way, that's what it is. It's putting a negative electrode and a positive electrode down, and so the if it's on the arm, well, my arm is the wrong color for to see anything. Anyway, so the electricity flows out of one electrode through your muscle and your flesh and out the other electrode, and it's how our muscles work. The motor neurons are our conduits for electricity, and we have chemical circuits rather than copper circuits. So our chemical circuits are mainly, it's glutamate ions is how the electricity flows through the motor neuron cells, and that kind of converts a little bit of the synapses at the end of the motor neuron cell where it links in with the muscle. So the larger the amount of electricity flowing through the motor neuron cell, the more connections it makes with muscle fibers. And when that flow is taking place and the connection is made with the muscle fiber contracts. They never relax. There's no electrical flow to make something relax. It's always contraction or no electricity. And when there's no electricity, then it relaxes, or it should relax anyway. So we've all experienced muscles which are tense and don't relax. So for that, we need to respond in other ways. And that's very simply what it is. I'm trying to think back to when I started using EMS. I can't remember where the idea of it came from. Maybe I just sort of noticed it by accident on the internet or something like that. I don't really know. And I was curious about it. It was about 5 years ago. So was I actually diagnosed at that stage? No, I think it was before official diagnosis. But when they found the motor neuron damage in me in 2017, at that stage, it was quite likely that I was going to have a diagnosis for ALS. So I bought a small kit, EMS kit. Maybe it was an advertisement I saw for, they had these muscle packs, these belly packs. And I've got photos coming up, we'll see it all. And so I wondered, would something like that work? Would it be good? And I checked it out a little bit as well. And there was no clear information on it. It wasn't recommended. But then again, there wasn't any information saying that this is going to damage you. So I was, a bit, I'm not really sure about this. And it wasn't actually that long ago. It was 2019, in fact. It was early 2019 when I started playing around with it. Before, anyway, summertime around then. And I couldn't find anything definite. So I bought myself some kit and I started to use it. I started to use it at quite low levels, and I would do it maybe twice a week, not more than that. And I I didn't want to make a mistake. I didn't want to be doing something that was causing more harm to my body. So I kept it very light, and I figured that even if it's very light, if it's creating a problem, I'm going to notice. I'm not going to notice that slowly over time, and because not going to go hell for leather at it, so my mistake will be minor rather than major. And I think it was about 4 months before I told anybody I was doing it, and I was doing working with a peer group at the time, and so after 4 months I told them about it, and then 2 months after that, so after 6 months of use, and I recommended it at that stage because it was clear to me that it was making a contribution that nothing else was doing. And I checked it out a little bit more as well. And one of the people or the professions who do it are physiotherapists. They use it with athletes, amongst others. And with the athletes, I thought, well, if they're using with athletes, it couldn't actually be damaging. Normally, it couldn't be damaging for motor neurons, because otherwise that would show up on athletes, and they wouldn't be doing it then, because it'd be the opposite effect. So I had more confidence over time as well. And there are some people, physiotherapists and doctors and neurologists, who say, "Oh, don't do it, don't do it." But they're saying that out of ignorance, not because they've done it and found that it's made a problem. It's just fearful reaction out of ignorance. Oh yeah, and one other thing, which comes up before I go to the photos, is that it is similar to TENS, which I'm not sure exactly what TENS stands for. Anyway, TENS has to do with nerve pain, and it's basically trying to switch off nerve pain. So there is an electric current being applied to the two sides on either side of the nerve. So you have a circuit of electricity going through the nerve, and so people try and switch off the pain doing that. It is using a different type of electricity that was used for stimulating muscle contraction. You can get devices which have a switch on them for TENS or electromuscle stimulation, EMS. And that's fine. You just have it on EMS. Nerve pain and how that would interact with this illness, I have no clue about. It's doing something quite different from having a natural level of electricity circuit to contract the muscle. The nerve pain related one, there's a different science involved in it, and I don't know how we would react to that. And it's not recommended. I mean, I don't know if it's any use to us either. EMS, and yeah, one of the other interesting things about the electromuscle stimulation is that the current of electricity actually goes through our neurons, and so it goes through like strong neuron channels in our body, and some equipment focuses in on that and some equipment doesn't. So as we're looking at different equipment, we'll be looking at more of it. And we've got a different setup here with my speaker now. So hopefully when I play something, you'll be able to hear it. Now, let's see, where is the, was it this one? I think it's this one. Okay, where are we starting? Oh no, I have. Oh yes, it's actually here. hang on. Let's see if we can try that again. Yeah, this one here. So okay. Yeah, this will be in March's newsletter. He's never got around to doing one for February. So this is some equipment that you can use. So the first main picture in it, which has lots of stuff in it, I have a kit the same as this, and you can get this on AliExpress for $20. And it has a lot in it. It's just for electromuscle stimulation, and it has a bunch of buttons in it, and it has a bunch of leads. So with this kit, actually, I haven't been using it that much because I've been swimming and doing other exercise. I haven't felt the need for recently. So let's see there. That's it there. So the yeah. So basically, you connect up your leads, electrodes into it, and there's a power unit, and then the electrodes you connect up to different parts of your body, and we'll get into that. And this has selections for working on the shoulder, the waist, joints, hands and feet, leg, because these different parts of the body will require different amounts of electricity. I suppose that's why. And then they've got 4 different modes: pressing, rubbing, vibrating, and thumping. So thumping is a really jarring one. Vibrating is probably the softest one. And there's a volume controller to control the strength of the electricity as well. So when I was using just that piece of equipment, it would take me about 3 hours to do my whole body. Legs take a long time, the arms, the back of the neck, the pecs and the shoulders. The small of the back and the buttocks and the glutes, and and you're doing 20 minutes for each area. So the one that I had had 4 pads, so I could have 2 pads on one shoulder and 2 pads on the other shoulder, and that kind of thing. You can get more complex and sophisticated ones, but it does get tricky to use, and that's about as complicated as I wanted. Now, that particular kit also has, if you see it, and we've got somebody demonstrating it on the right, is sandals. And the sandals have 4 electrode connections in them as well. Let's see, yeah. So I don't know if you can see it here. So that's where the electrode goes. That's where the connector goes to the unit. And then there's 1, 2, 3, and another one up there. There's those 4 connectors. So that's lining up with your foot, the channels in your foot. And you can feel that you wear that, and you can feel that really going up through your calves. I mean, it was pretty good. My feet would be jumping off and out of the sandals. You'd really get quite a vigorous movement on it. They also have a couple of other ones which are like gloves. So there's see that there's the connector there, so you can wear gloves. I didn't like this style too much. Well, I have some other problems with my my extremities. But yeah, other people could find it really good. And you get more current and more contraction in your hands. You know, that's fantastic. The real power in your hands, though, is actually in your forehand, your forearm, not actually in your hands. The real strength is in the forearms. Yeah, and the sleeves and the socks. So it's a really good introduction to it. And you see a lot of the pictures then are you can see this picture which is covering above the knee area. They've got 4 pads on there, and it looks like they really know where they're putting their pads. And because you want to have them in the right place to stimulate the muscle properly. So we have that demonstration there at the bottom left above the knee. And then we have somebody doing the tooth thighs at the same time. We have that photograph there. But it is as simple as that. You can just sit there or lie there and let it do its work for 20 minutes. The bottom photograph is special equipment called Bionic Gym. I'll just write it in here. Bionic Gym. It's the only one which quite works the way it does. It's really powerful. It's 2 racks that go, one for each leg, that goes around the top of the thigh and the bottom of the thigh above the knee. And there's a power pack that sticks in with it, and you do a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connection with your phone, and you run the software and controller from there. And there are people who use this, and they'll wear them and have it running all day long for 8 hours at a low level, so that the whole time their legs are doing a bit of work. And so it goes from that kind of usage to HIIT training, if you know it, high intensity interval training. So an example of that is where you're sprinting for 1 minute, and then you're jogging for a minute, then you're sprinting for a minute, jogging for a minute. So this is high intensity interval training. And this has a program which is like that, and it really is like that. You know, I'll be pouring with sweat afterwards, even if it's not, hot in my room or very warm in the room. I'm going to have to take clothes off because I'm sweating that much from using that gear. And it was last year. This gear is actually designed by an Irish doctor, a research doctor. Research medical doctor whose name I've forgotten. Anyway, Bionic Gym, and he designed this, and it uses the body's own design, and the way it uses electricity is slightly different from the usual EMS system. It uses things like it was part of his inspiration for designing it, was that when he was swimming in the water and he came out and his teeth were chattering and his whole body was shaking, and it was our body was doing this to get warm again. But there's a frequency in our chattering, and when our body is shaking to get warm, there's a particular frequency in that which is normal and healthy to the body. So that's part of what works with this equipment. And the design as well is that it's focused on big channels in the back of the legs. So you feel this in your toes and, in the small of your back, in your abdomen. You'll feel it in all those places if you can work up to it. If you're using it at a much lighter level of power, then it won't go so far. But if you can work up to it, it's really It's really, really good kit. I reckon that like 20 minutes using that equipment was equivalent to 4 to 6 hours of doing the other thing, of doing this one just on my legs. So this one on just on my legs for 4 to 6 hours is equivalent to 20 minutes of the bionic gym. And it did everything for the legs. You know, I didn't have to reapply somewhere else in the legs and apply again. And it was so much more efficient. I've started using it again. So that's really, really great kit. And it's one of the more expensive items that I recommend. Is around $700 or something like that. But if you've done one of my courses, then I can give you a code to get a 30% discount off it. So I prefer you get the discount than me. So yeah, just if that's something that you want, contact me and I'll give you the code. I don't want to give it out online because other people could just listen to that and then ring in with the code, and then I'll be in trouble. So yeah, but it's a 30% discount. And if you know, there's the pads in it have to be replaced, which is normal for all of these devices. The pads eventually have to be replaced. And they actually give you the discount. They continue to give you the discount on replacement pads as well, which is pretty amazing, really. And they have a Facebook page and a decent support service, because it can be a little bit tricky to use sometimes, that product, but it's a really, really great product. And the thing is, you know, if you're doing that, your legs are then fully exercised without you straining them, unless you overdo it. But you're not putting your weight on it. You're not pushing your legs as far as you can. And there's a huge difference between you pushing your body and you turning the EMS up to the highest strength that you can tolerate, and that pushing your body. Because when you're pushing your body, you're sending maximum signals, motor neuron signals, flawed motor neuron signals to your muscles. So that's why we then get very, very tired afterwards, because our body is dealing with those excess motor neuron signals. And there's the possibility, I'm not sure if it's quite been proven, but there's certainly the possibility that if you're pushing your body as hard as you can, that you might wear down your motor neurons quicker. Now, I do know one person who went back to doing, what was he doing? Marathons. He used to be a marathon runner and he got ALS. Is his name Alejandro, down in Argentina or Brazil? And yeah, he pretty much lost his ability to walk, and he diagnosed with ALS. And he did his research and he developed a protocol which worked for him. And he was just so determined to get back on his legs again. That's where his healing place was. And I read accounts of people who knew him from before, from his marathon days, and he went back running marathons, and he would fall down a lot and just get back up again. And so he pushed his body, and he had a very real reversal. So people are different, but I've certainly found if I push my muscles, I really need more recovery time, more than for sure. I haven't found that healthy for me. And I've put on a lot of muscle by taking things softly, not by taking things hard. So this exercises your whole legs. I mean, I have a wheelchair here and a Zimmer frame, a walking frame, and I can do a on a good day, I can do a 5-kilometer walk without a problem. So, and this equipment, the Bionic Gym particularly, really contributed to developing the health in my legs more so than anything else. My legs, my glutes, the small of my back, everywhere. So see the next photograph, which is to show you. So this is where some of the pads then can go on the back of the neck, on the shoulders. Now, the shoulder one we see with the black pads, there is a fourth pad there. We just can't see it very clearly in the diagram. And for doing this sort of thing, you need to know what you're doing, really, because you need to know where the positions, where the muscle is, and you have a positive and a negative electrodes. So that has to be set up in the right way, in the right place. And yeah, you need to get that right. Sometimes the electrodes, we got one here, only. No, that's not it. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. Right. So very often, yeah, the electrodes come in pairs. Now this one, there's actually, there's actually 4 on this. There's 4 here. There's 4 pairs, but it's hard to tell which ones are positive and which ones are negative. So sometimes I get it if I'm putting it 2 on my shoulders, like in that first picture. Sometimes I get the positioning of them. I might get the positioning right, but then I get the mix of which one's positive and which one's negative. I get that wrong because it doesn't say it on this cheap kit. So, you know, there are some reasons for going for more expensive kit as well. But you can spend a lot of money on this. So you can see that there's a photograph of someone doing the back as well, which is great. And I found one which is for the face, which is pretty amazing. And to be able to do it on the face, you're going to need different electrodes probably for the face, much smaller ones. They're still, I've seen smaller electrodes than that again for the face. You can do it. Now, I'll see, I'm going to come back to the stuff at the bottom of that picture later, but I want to show you something else. If I have it here, is it in? No, not quite that photo. No, not that one. No. Oh, hang on. No, I'm looking at the wrong place altogether. Wait now. I have to. Well, the where is it? Yes, it is here. Okay. And so this is it. In October issue of the newsletter, sometimes do a page of useful products, and they have EMS products for doing your whole face. So for me, this is a real no-brainer. Everybody should be using something like this if you have any lapse in the face at all. So they're usually sold with the kind of identity of beauty product, because they'll take away that second chin and stuff like that. They'll tighten up the face and the mouth and wherever it is that you want tightened up. So there are a few different ones here. There's the thin face, high frequency vibration, 3,500 times per minute, which effectively lifts and tightens the skin, eliminates puffiness and helps thin face. And that one also has light therapy going on in it as well. So you have options of choosing different light therapies and it has 12 kinds of vibrational massage speed too. But that one's mostly doing the cheeks and the lower chin. So the second photograph on the left is a full mask, as you can see. It's only doing colors, LED. There's no electro muscle stimulation in it at all. So be careful of what you buy. The one on the right, 3D silicone facial mask. And I think all of these are actually live links. So if you look at the October newsletter, you can click on this and it'll take you to that actual product, I think. So this one, I thought this one was possibly the best of the products. EMS vibration face massage. EMS firming, bioimitation, microcurrent, pulse stimulation technology. Basically it's an electric charge which stimulates your muscles. The facelift belt is made of silica gel, which is gentle on the skin, has excellent elasticity in it. I just thought that this was possibly the best one for stimulating, but I haven't used any of them myself. So it's a live and learn thing. You have to buy whichever products that you think are most suitable to you, and see what happens, and not give up on it. And the one on the bottom right, EMS electric pulse face mask, which uses a cream as well, absorption, massage or anti-wrinkle skin lifting beauty device. So but it's EMS, and that's the point of it there. So there are different things, and there are more out there. I look for, being in Ireland, there's no actual shop to buy any of this, so I buy it all online, mostly through AliExpress. So I don't mind waiting an extra couple of weeks for something and saving myself 70% of the price. And there's one other product on this page, which is the V-Lite 633 Red compact personal photo biomodulation device through the nasal blood capillaries. So basically it's a pronged device where you put inside the nose, and it's red light therapy shining up inside the nose, and some people put this inside their mouth as well to light up the red light therapy in the mouth. I think we might have covered that when we were doing red light therapy. Well, I just wanted to show you some of these products which were available for stimulating the face, especially the electro muscle stimulation. There we are. So that's a couple of the photos there at the bottom then is for this full body thing. Now, one of the problems with it, it's not going to suit everybody. One of the problems with it is that it's a little bit like a wetsuit, a 3/4 length wetsuit. So if you're physically weak, getting into and out of this could be a serious challenge. There are other versions of it where it's looser and you have Velcro ties for tightening everything up again. You know, it's worth checking out. And some of them come with big electrical units where they have huge selection of different programs, and you're spending a couple of $1,000, between $1,000 and $2,000 on the kit. But it does mean that you can, you know, if you can make it work for you, then it's probably really worth doing, because you are giving muscles exercise which otherwise they're just not going to get. It's not possible, you know, to get them. So yeah, let's see. And so one other area of this which I want to show you is in this one, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah. So this is a picture, and you can just search for these. This one is from hammernutrition.com, electromuscle stimulation US pad placement. So it's showing where you see it's got the red and the blue. I don't know if you can see that, but it's negative and positive. And it's giving the different positions throughout the body on the muscles, the shoulders, the legs, the forearms, the small, the back, and so on. It, soles of the feet even. So it shows there's a lot of information there, and the better you can do this, the better you're going to get. I mean, I was using a lot of this stuff without following such accurate information, to be honest. And it wasn't the best used, but it was better than no use. So that's enough, really, to have some use is enough. So this is another picture of where, and here they have A and D, and so the red and black is positive and negative electrodes, they've just linked it up. So if you look there on the leg, you've got P and P at the top and bottom of the leg, and 2 Qs, and so for the laterals there, above the groin, you can see they're a little bit different. And there's so much information on that. I'm not a physiotherapist, so I don't really know the names of these muscles. But you need somebody to do this kind of, at least some of it. You need somebody else to do it for you. But doing something is better than nothing. So I used to slap the pads down on my shoulders and my arms, and it wasn't always right or perfect or that. One of the reasons why I like the Bionic Gym, the leg wrap ones, so much is because you put it on and you put it on right. It's hard to do it wrong. It's possible, I suppose. You can even reverse the legs on it and it'll still work. And there's a little lead that goes from the battery pack in one leg to the other leg. Well, it works. Even if you get them crossed over, it still works. Because the legs are actually going independently, but you have to do 2 legs though, because it's designed that way. So I've lost a couple of kilos in the last 6 weeks. I've lost 2 kilos in weight because I just haven't been doing enough exercise because of lung infection and throat infection and whatever stuff going on. I don't get the lifts that I was getting to my local park, and I wasn't really going out walking anyway because of the difficulties of breathing in the cold air. And so there's a number of things, and getting out and getting down to the sauna and swimming a little bit, that was all reduced. I've lost 2 kilos as a result of not exercising, which was a bit shocking, but also really great information as well, because it confirms that to put on weight, you need to stimulate the muscles in the body. And if I don't do that, I lose weight. Even though the supplements and everything I was taking like that, all of that stayed the same. I wasn't changed anything there. So I've put on a lot of weight overall from when I was down to 66 kilos, went up to 80 kilos. And that was without doing any hard exercise. And I'd even given up on the electromuscle stimulation because I'd such, I'd done it. I put on the good weight. It was done, and I was trying to focus on other things and other parts of my life. So I'm going back to it now, and I can really feel the work that I've been doing on my legs. And you can cheat sometimes as well. And since I have a cheat here, yeah. So I have cheats in here. Where are the cheats? Oh, that's gone. But this is one of the typical ones you get for your abs. So that's the back of it. So you can see there the electro pads. So you just station it, and then you can choose the program. I'm not going to put any power in it, just in case I start to electrocute myself a little bit. So you can put the power into it, and yeah, I shouldn't. Yeah, so 6, 8. So it goes up to about, I think it goes up to about 20. So depending on how I'm feeling, I'll do about 14. And it definitely has given me more stomach strength and helped with my core strength. Sometimes I put that on the small of my back as well. I don't know if you're supposed to or not, but it's not doing me any harm. So this is one for the forearm. It's going around there. But I also go along and put it on my legs as well. If I don't, not putting on the bionic gym, I'll put it on my legs. So if you're using the bionic gym, you have to keep your legs straight. So they have to be horizontal, or you have to be standing, but you can't be sitting with your legs, your knees bent, because your legs will want to be kicking up like this and stuff. So they have to be straight, horizontal or vertical, whichever. So with these, you can just sit with your knees, bent. It's a much lower powered thing. But yeah, I got a good response from it. I could feel the fatigue in my muscles the next day from using that. Only specific muscles in my legs. It wasn't my whole legs. And that's one of the differences with the bionic gym, is the whole legs that it will do. But it's a kind of just sort of a handy cheating thing. And it doesn't do the backs of the legs at all, which is really nice. One of the things when I was after using the bionic gym for a while, I found that when I was sitting down, I wasn't sitting with my bones anymore. I actually had some muscle there. I had some strength there that I was sitting on. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was missing this, but yeah, I am. Or I was, and now I am again. So back to it. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. Oh, we're good on time. So do you have any questions about it or anything like that?
I think you did a good job covering the basics. I have a TENS unit at home. I had acquired it a long time ago when I was working out a lot at the gym. And I used it for muscle aches. It was effective. So I'm thinking I may dig it up and
Does it have a setting for EMS on it?
It has pulse and pounding, massage settings.
Okay, that's their EMS settings. They are.
Yeah, and electric settings where it just vibrates.
Yeah.
So it's a good unit. It's helped me in the past, but I was a little apprehensive about using it.
Yeah, no, there's no problem. Unless you're trying to burn yourself out, as long as you're not overdoing it,
Yeah.
Reasonable use rules apply. There's one person I know, and he puts the pads on the side of his neck here at all. And I've always said to people, no, don't do that, because I just don't want to recommend it. But anyway, he does it, and he gets a vibration in his tongue. by putting it there.
I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah.
I may try it, with a low intensity and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have gone for the jaw muscle, which is probably the biggest muscle in the face, and to work that, because there's going to be tension in the jaws and slack jaw and stuff like this. So any improvement that we bring is an improvement. It makes a difference. So it's all worth it. Even if we can't get the best improvement that we want,
Mhm.
getting the second or third best improvement, yeah, well, that's improvement, that's worth it. So yeah, I would start off, and there are some diagrams around on the net on places on the finer positions for the face. And if you have confidence with that, then I would go for it, and I'm just a little bit careful about advising people to do that if they've no experience, and they slap it onto their face and they put the charge up too much, and they'll all get angry with me for
Yeah. Want to incur a stroke, yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
all your carotid artery and your jugular is there, and all those blood vessels. So you have to be super careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's safe technology as well. As long as we don't abuse it, it's safe
Right.
technology. That's, I think, which is what we have to be careful about, and stimulate the muscles, because they're there. One of the people who's and it's been I don't know how many years since he's walked or been able to move his legs, and and he's had no muscle response in his legs for a long time, and he was started to use the bionic gym, and he got muscle twitching afterwards, and it was the first time in years that he'd gotten muscle twitching. And it does happen after you use EMS equipment or exercise in general. Very often there's twitching later on, especially when you relax in bed at night. That's when I would get it most. But that's part of the healing process at this stage. It's not a bad twitching. It's fine. And cannabis usually quietens that down as well if it really is irritating. Or you can do more EMS stuff earlier in the day rather than later in the day. That'll mean that there'll be less twitching at night in bed then. But that's the only real side effect. Otherwise, it's really, it does the job. It does the job. Well, you got to wear your electronic hand warmers.
Yeah.
Don't go outside without them. And maybe using that face mask, those devices there, have a look at that and get it and invest into it, because if we don't do good things for our muscles, well, there's already bad things happening. So we need to do the good things to give us the support to improve our condition, or even just to stabilize it, So this is some of the positions in that are not so accessible, but there is the things that we can do with it are really good. At one stage, there was a trial done in England. I think there was just 12 people in the trial, and they actually inserted electrodes in the diaphragm muscles, so that, because this is the serious loss of being able to breathe is what they're trying to get, and so they actually had electrodes, wires sticking out of their muscles. Yeah, bionic man. Here's the real thing. And only one of them, at the end of the trial, only one of them continued to have the electrodes afterwards. But there's just, it's not enough to do one place. And I suppose, people have so many lapses in so many parts of the body. It wasn't enough just to do that one thing either. So those suits, those full body suits, some of them look like they're doing some of the respiratory area. So they might well be worth looking at and checking out. And if you do go like that direction with them, yeah, I'd love to hear, your response and feedback in, and especially if there's a problem, or if there's a success, or if there's not much really going on, just to be able to talk about it for a few minutes. You can do that in any of these sessions, or just get in touch with me. There's no problem at all. So I think that's it for my voice for today.
Well, thank you for spending the time with us and teaching us about this stuff. It's very generous of you to give your time. And I just want you to know I appreciate it.
Thank you, Theresa. Thank you. It's nice to hear. And thank you, Amy, as well. Thanks very much.